Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Graduate Diaries. And thank you so much for choosing to spend a bit of your day with me today on Sunday, if you're watching this the day that it comes out. How's everybody doing? How are we? I'm really good. I feel like I've been riding a bit of a high since officially releasing this podcast. I know that I've only published one episode, but I'm having so much fun. And on topic with that, I've finally created a TikTok account. You should go follow me. I'm called @tegan.easton. I'll put it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. So please go and follow me on there because I've literally have barely any followers and I really want to try and promote this podcast. So I'd really appreciate if you could go follow me. I'll leave the link below as well. So please go follow me. I'm trying to be super active over on TikTok. I'm going to create some day in the life videos, behind the scenes. I just generally, did I say that right? I just generally want to be a lot more active on social media now. So please go and follow me and we can share the journey together and I'll follow you back and all of that jazz. But yeah, how's everybody doing? Are we all good? How's everybody been? Let me know. I'm curious. But today's episode, we're gonna jump straight in and we're going to jump straight into the excitement of essentially focusing on finding your creative spark again after a burnout or a block. And we're going to talk about how you get that back because people don't really speak about it. And the whole purpose of me creating this podcast is to speak on things that people aren't talking about as much as they should. And creative block and creative burnout is such a big deal for creative people. And personally, I feel like people aren't talking about it. So that is exactly what we're going to do. There's been many moments in my life where I don't really know what I'm doing with myself in this industry and feeling lost or your brain is stuck and you know you want to create but you can't. It's so frustrating, it's so disheartening for somebody who is creative. And generally since graduating, this past year has been the most disheartening year because I've not been doing anything creative. I've been slaving away my hospitality job, trying to pay rent, and not doing anything for myself that I actually enjoy. And part of the reason why I've only just started to feel that spark again is because of this podcast. And this is such a brand new thing. This is literally episode 2. So I've not been feeling it for long, but since starting it and planning it and actually putting it out there, the spark's finally coming back and I'm finally starting to feel creative again. And you've really got to just channel the creativeness and be proactive to try and get your creative spark back because that's exactly what I'm doing. And if I didn't start this podcast, I probably would still be feeling a bit stuck and a bit confused and a bit what am I doing with myself? But I'm putting my foot down and I'm putting my channeling my creativeness. Yeah, my creativeness and putting something out there. And that is this podcast for me. But I think to start with, we really need to explain what exactly a creative block really is. So according to the internet, a creative block is when you feel unable to access your creativity, like your ideas have dried up, your motivation is gone, or nothing you make anymore feels good enough. And it's a frustrating mental and emotional state where starting or continuing a creative project feels really difficult, even if you want to make something. And essentially, in short, that means you, as a creative, you want to create something, but you can't. And you're trying to find the reason of why you can't make that. So there's common signs of a creative block, which is you might stare at a blank screen and you can't do it. You create ideas, but they feel boring or bad, or you feel like you've done it before and it's pointless. You procrastinate, you avoid it completely, like avoid doing the task completely, you put it off. Everything that you make feels overwhelming, you feel stuck or even anxious about creating, and you doubt your skills and compare to others, which is such a real thing, especially as a creative. Comparison is so real, and so like everybody does it, and it's such a horrible feeling because you can't compare yourself. Everything that you create is, everything's personal, and you can't compare what your friend or someone else has done. And it's, comparison kills people off. Like it absolutely destroys creativity. But I think that as creative individuals, we really need to speak about creative burnout, because nobody's talking about it. People just think that you might have just dropped off the face of the internet and you're not creating, so you're giving up with it. But it might just be that block. It might just be that thing in your head that you can't do it, or you're trying to do something and you're trying to create, but you don't like any of your ideas. I mean, even for myself with this podcast, I've wanted to do a podcast or bring back my YouTube or something. I've wanted to just do something for me for so long. Even throughout my 3 years of uni, even after uni, I've really just wanted to push myself and actually give myself like a personal project, but I just never did. And I feel like it was, again, the whole mental block, and I want to do it, but I just can't get past that block that's in my head telling me that I can't. And going back to like even avoiding, so I feel like I'm avoiding doing something for myself, which is so stupid because I literally have such a passion for being creative, and I was never the person to enjoy actually coming up with the idea. Like in group projects at uni, I was never the main like director or producer because I could never come up with the idea. But when someone else gave me the idea, I could really channel different like creative ways to like make it or do it. So me wanting to actually do something for myself, I'm like, what should I do? And I've got so many different things that I could do. And I'm just not sure which one to do. So I guess I was stuck in that whole procrastination and avoiding it completely, which is again a common sign of a mental block, because I'm really present with the idea and I really wanted to do something. I just couldn't. And even when I was planning this podcast, like a month ago, I'm looking at my laptop and I'm like, right, Tegan, write down ideas for this podcast, what you want to do, things you want to cover and talk about. And it's like I know what I want to say, I just couldn't write it down. I just couldn't like vision it and see it. I could just like hear it. But I guess that might be just because I'm an audio girly and I really vision everything like how I would hear it. But I couldn't actually see it on like my screen on my laptop when I was trying to write it down. But the point was, going back to it, I feel like I just went on an absolute tangent then. Why do creative blocks happen? So people get burnt out, people get exhausted. 3 years of university, when you are grafting and putting all of your efforts in, that is such a long time. 3 years is so long to just be working on uni work, and it's student work, so sometimes you're never fully happy with it, but you're doing it because you have to pass a assignment, or you've got to pass a module, and it's so tiring just doing uni work just to get a grade. Like if you're doing something because you have to and you're not actually passionate about the subject or the topic, that's the most disheartening feeling. So that is a potential reason why people feel burnt out. Another thing that I already touched on is comparison. Comparison is like a silent killer in the creative industry, because everybody compares themselves. So like, even in the radio world, radio presenters are going to be comparing themselves. They want to be, you know, whatever radio presenter that they aspire to be. So if you're like creating demos and you're sending them out to people, you think, oh, I don't sound like so-and-so on Radio 1. And the main piece of advice that presenters give you when you're sending out demos is be your most true and authentic self. Don't make a demo and think, oh, I've got to sound like Vic Hope on Radio 1. Like, you shouldn't try and be someone else that you're not. You need to be yourself, because why would you try and make a demo to sound like an existing presenter? Because the station already has this presenter. They already pay this presenter. They already have this presenter in the world is currently, you know, this person's already presenting, producing, whatever. They don't need someone else to do the same thing. They want people to be themselves, and obviously it's a creative field, so they want people to be really creative and create a demo that's inspiring and like you, because people want to hear from you. Like, the creative industry, I mean, I'm saying creative industry as a very broad way. I mean, my obviously creative field that I want to do is like, I want to get into the radio industry, but I'm just saying creative industry is a like a blanket term. But yeah, you've really got to be yourself, and I understand it because I've definitely compared my work. I mean, even at uni, when I'd be creating like radio packages or anything for uni, for different uni assignments, I would think, oh, like, my friend's work would sound so much better. Like, oh, you're going to win this award. I'm not going to get an award for it. Or you think, oh, wow, you sound so like natural and really good at it, and sometimes I feel a bit like staged or awkward, or sometimes it feels forced, and you come up with all these crazy thoughts and ideas to compare, and it's the worst thing because it leaves you to spiral. Comparison is, you know, you can't compare yourself because everybody in this world is different. Everybody in this world is good at something else. Like, everyone's got their own individual passions and hobbies, and like, obviously you don't sound like someone who's currently already on Radio 1 because you're not them. They're on Radio 1 already and you're not. You're getting there, but you're not there already. And it's horrible, and I really, really get it. I especially get it at uni and school, but that is definitely another reason for creative block, because you're comparing yourself and you don't think you sound like someone else, and then you just spiral and take yourself down a dark rabbit hole, and we don't want to be doing that. But linking with that whole comparison, the fear of not being good enough and the fear of starting out in the first place. For example, look at me with this podcast. So I'm actually doing this podcast now. Woo, yay, go me. But I've said it took me plenty of time. It took me so friggin' long to actually get this podcast out into the world and to actually start it. Like, what was I scared of? Was I scared of people judging me? No, because I am the type of person who does not care what anybody thinks. You can say anything to me and I will actually be unfazed. It really doesn't bother me. I genuinely think it was just, do you know what? I'm actually not sure. I do feel like it was probably like a motivation thing. And life gets in the way, which was actually my next bullet point, to be fair, of just life chaos. Like, the chaos of life and how busy and stressful life gets is completely a valid reason for having a creative block, because you're worried about, you know, paying your bills, you're worried about money, you're worried about maybe your mental health or actually getting a job. All valid reasons for perhaps putting the creative stuff to the side and just you're focusing on life and building a life for yourself. And then the creative, your passions and your creativeness gets pushed aside, which honestly is it's such a shame, and it's so disheartening that people do it, but it's very common. But again, all valid reasons for why creative blocks happen. But the main thing that I want you to get out of this episode is that we need to normalize it. Like, creative blocks are so real. You're not lazy, you are human, and we need to normalize it. They're so common. Everybody experiences creative blocks once in their lifetime. God forbid, people feel it more than once in their lifetime. Once a week, people get creative blocks all the time. And I really want you, if you're listening to this episode, to tell yourself that it's okay if you feel like that every once in a while. If you feel it a lot, that's totally valid. It's all down to the individual, and it's okay. And what should we do about these creative blocks? There is nothing to be ashamed of if you're feeling burnt out. As I've said, they're common. Everybody feels like it. I was just checking that I'm still recording. Oh my God, I thought my audio wasn't recording. Okay, it's fine. See, that could have ended badly, but it's fine. We're going to carry on. Happens to every creative, and I feel like a lot of people also probably don't speak about it. They probably say that they don't feel like it. I feel like I probably was one of the people to say that I wasn't feeling the stress being creative, and I wasn't ever going to get burnt out because I'm perfect and I've got a massive ego. But I'm here to tell you that it happens to everybody, and people lie. People really lie. And I think I've said this in my first episode, but this entire year, I feel like I've been going through a creative burnout. Literally the entire year. Not a day, not a week, a whole 365 plus days. I feel like I've been going through a bit of a burnout because, 3 years of uni. I feel like that was my main downfall. And I say downfall. I don't mean a downfall in a negative, because I really enjoyed my 3 years of university. I mean, my actual course I feel like was a waste of my time because I didn't actually learn anything in uni. But I met amazing people and I had so many networking opportunities and I met amazing people that way. But yeah, I've written 3 years of what? Because I feel like I wasted 3 years, to be honest. And I, in a way, would have preferred to have just been working straight away. Because now I'm really struggling on the other side of uni. But yeah, why else have I been feeling burnt out? I've put that I'm currently in a job where I don't get to be creative. As I've mentioned, I currently work pretty much full-time in a hospitality job, which is very common. Most of the people who I graduated with are working full-time jobs that are not in media. But I don't get to be excited. I don't get to be fulfilled. I don't get to create. I don't get to I don't get to be imaginative. I don't get to use my imagination at work, because it's the same thing every day. It's the same dead-end job for me. And working there really makes me feel like I've lost a part of myself. And it's the most miserable, horrible feeling that I'm really trying to get over. And I'm trying to get out of it. And I need to just get another job. And I've already said this to my work colleagues, to be fair. I don't want to just jump from hospitality job to hospitality job. If I'm going to quit, I want to get a full-time media job. I want to get full-time freelancing. I want to do something that I am so passionate about. And I'm not passionate about that job. I've got no passion for it at all. And receiving a first-class degree and I'm not using it. It's so disheartening, and I'm just bored of working in hospitality. I've been doing it since I was 15 or something. And I feel like doing that for a whole year, it's really made me lost my creative side, because I don't get to use the creative part of my brain, and it's so sad. But I'm slowly getting my spark back, because that's what this podcast is all for. Yeah, that's what this podcast is for. This podcast is for me to get my spark back and enjoy being creative again, and just enjoy using microphones, enjoy using cameras, editing. These are all huge passions of mine and something that I've truly missed about uni, like actually using equipment and just having fun with it. And I am loving it. And if you're listening, thank you so much, honestly. But the next point that I wanted to make is that often the creative block, is a signal that you actually need to rest. It's your body telling you to stop. You need a shift in perspective or a new input of inspiration. So, as I already mentioned, for me, it's this podcast. This podcast allows me to just be creative, and I get to actually add to my creative cup, and I can see my creative cup like actually about to overflow, and it's been empty for over a year. So this is something that's so like positive for me. But you need a project to work on, whether that's like me, whether it's a podcast, a YouTube channel, literally anything that you want to be working on. You want to make a short film, you want to edit something, start it, do it. You need just to be working on something that you enjoy fully. But another thing is having a creative identity crisis. And everything links here in this episode. It's all linking. So losing your spark can really feel like you've lost a part of yourself and lost a part of your identity, especially if you've always seen yourself as a creative person. Because I completely get that. But I want you to think about it. And how does that actually make you feel? If you're someone who was always so creative and busy with creative projects, to then being a graduate and you're not creating anymore, how does it make you feel? If you didn't get that dream job straight away and now you're also working full-time in hospitality, how do you feel about that? And as I've already mentioned, it feels like I've actually disappeared for a while and I'm only just coming back into the world. And it's also just so weird that you're no longer a student creative because you're not working on any student projects anymore, but you're also not in the real world, in the actual industry. So you're kind of just living and not creating. So what's the point? And it feels horrible. There's also so much pressure in this industry. There's pressure to be productive in quotation marks. Because in post-uni life, there's pressure to prove yourself to people, to prove yourself of something that's valuable and to like be impressed by others. So if you're a recent graduate, or even if you didn't even go to uni, maybe you're just not as creative as you used to be. Do you feel useless? I want you to actually sit and think about that. Do you feel useless? Do you feel like you're wasting your time? Do you measure your creativity based on how productive you've been? Or your creative work? Because if you've not been working on a project, do you not feel as valued as you should? I want you to really sit and think on that. Because pressure can kill creativity. And because a lot of people create to perform. They're making something because they want someone to say how good they are. They want to be validated and not to explore or to just play and just be creative for the sake of it. And I want to know if this is a real and common feeling, because it's just such a valid feeling. And I want to know if you're listening to this podcast or if you're watching it, do you create for joy or just to feel productive? Do you need to be validated in your creativity? And just a reminder for all the creatives out there, which I assume is everybody listening, is that the spark never dies, it just dims. And that means that it can always come back. If you're not being creative right now, if you're not in the mindset to be creative right now, you can always come back and be creative and be your true authentic self. And the right project can reignite everything. This podcast is living proof that you can do what you want and you can get your spark back. But how do you get your spark back? I hear you asking me. So I want you to aim for something. It doesn't have to be a massive goal or a massive challenge. And I don't want you to aim for perfection. I want you to just do something. Do something that fulfills you. Do something that makes you feel joy. Whether that is editing, whether that is sitting down with a microphone and recording something and then editing it. I want you to do that. Maybe you need a change of scenery. Get outside, get a bit of vitamin D, or not vitamin C. Get a bit of vitamin D on you if it's sunny. It's actually really overcast and quite cloudy here in Manchester as I'm filming this. But maybe you should go for a walk, sit outside, just sit in a park, sit on a bench. Maybe you need to sit in another room in your flat, or talk to someone, talk to a friend, vent your ideas, send like a voice note to somebody and just get all your thoughts out. You need to create yourself a creative space. You could put some music on, change the lighting, put a candle in, get a nice backdrop. I know this backdrop is literally just like my sofa. I'm going to work on that. But you should just get out, do something, try something different. It's all about, change is a good thing. I really feel positively about change. I think we should not fear change. I think change is always a good thing. And the main thing, rest. Rest with a purpose, because your creativity needs space. Sometimes your body, the creativeness, like the creative burnout, that's your body telling you to stop. So sometimes you need to just stop. And by taking just one brave step forward, the spark could come alive again. And you might not forgive yourself if you don't actually start. If you don't start that podcast, if you don't start that demo, if you don't start a YouTube channel or something that's gonna honestly fulfill like your creative cup, then what's the point? And I've said it before, but there's no better time than the now. You should just do it. And as a creative, like a fellow creative myself, to my wonderful creative industry listeners or viewers, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, I know that you can get your creative spark back. It took me a year. That is true. But it doesn't have to take a year. It might take a day. It might take a few days. It might take a couple weeks, a few months, or a year, or more than a year. But you don't have to wait until tomorrow. You can be your own boss and you get to control what you want to do in your life. You get to go outside if you want to go outside. If you don't want to go outside, don't go outside. It's okay. But what I do want to say is, what small thing can you start this week that brings you joy? You really should try something that maybe you've not started in a while. You've not done it. If maybe you've graduated ages ago and you've not been editing, edit something. Put something together and edit it. And this podcast isn't just something that I'm doing. It's something that's healing my creativity. I'm having so much fun recording, editing, like putting out this podcast into the world, making TikToks. I haven't felt joy like it in a while because I fully put that to a side for a year and I've missed it so much. It's the most joyous and euphoric feeling that I haven't felt in ages. And it's healing me, and I created it and I produced this platform for myself, and do you know what? I'm so proud of myself because this is literally episode 2 that I'm filming. So my podcast is barely even out in the world, but I'm doing it for myself, and you can tell I'm smiling if you're watching. I want you to be inspired to have the same feeling. But if you're in a creative block, trust me, your spark will come back. And when it does, it's going to feel like you're falling in love with yourself again. And you're going to love who you are. And everything is going to fall into place and everything's going to work. And maybe this podcast is a sign to start something that you've been putting off. Even if it's small. Even if it's very small. You should do it. I was literally just recording the outro for this episode, and then my card decided to be full. But it's fine because everything was saved. That actually scared me. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a rating if you're listening on Spotify. Please give me a like if you're watching on YouTube. And share it with someone if you think that they need to get their spark back. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok. I'm at tegan.easton. I'll leave it on the screen and in the description below. I'll be posting loads on there, so please follow me. I'm going to be active. And make sure to follow me on Spotify, subscribe to my YouTube. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again next week.